To remove the steering column, the first thing we're going to do is we've got to loosen up these nuts on this universal joint. That'll help take tension off of it so that we can separate it off of the spline joint here, and then we'll be able to pull the steering column inside the cab of the Jeep. Next thing we did, of course, we removed the steering wheel just to give us a little more access. There was a cover panel right here held on by 4 screws. We removed that to allow us access. We removed the support bolts. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but let's see, right here, there was a bolt that went through to the bottom of the dash to tie the steering column into the structure of the Jeep. The last thing we did was we disconnected the cable. Let me see if I can get you around here. There you go. So you can see the clip right here on the steering column. We disconnected the wiring connector from that. And we should be able to, oh, one more thing. There's also a boot right here around the column at the firewall to keep mud and water and things like that from coming in the cab. So we removed the 4 bolts that held it on and removed the seal. We'll order a new one to go in when we put it back in. But yeah, we should be able to pull this column out now. So let's see. Oh, okay, there's the support bracket that just fell out right there. Let's see. It's hard to do this one-handed. All right, let me set the phone down and we'll see what we can do. Y'all, that joint was stuck on this D-tube right here. So, got it off. I'll clean this up with some Scotch-Brite before we go to put it back on. You can see the opening right. Sorry about the camera work. You can see the opening right there that it came through. And you can see it's out right there. So, we've got the steering column out. Let me show you what we're putting back in. Now, when you're ordering a column, these things come in various sizes and setups and things like that. So make sure you're looking at what you're going to need, okay? Make sure it fits your application. My application, I needed a key in the column because the original column had a key in it. I wanted tilt so that we could adjust the steering wheel height. It is a floor shift, so it doesn't have the shifting knob over here. You need to make sure you've got the right hookups. This is, whoop, let me roll it over here. There we go. This is a GM pigtail. And so that's what's in the truck. That's what I needed my column to match. This connection down here is for the keyed ignition. If you don't get keyed ignition, this connection won't be here. You need to make sure your length is right. So, you know, I measured from here to the bottom of this shaft, and then I referenced the Flaming River catalog, and I found what I wanted to shorten it just a couple of inches. The other thing you want to look at is this splined end. Different manufacturers have a different diameter or a different number of splines on it. So make sure you're looking at the correct spline number and you're getting an appropriate adapter to that, because you don't want to order it and not have the right spline connections. It's going to make you have a really bad day. This is what we're putting back in. It's a steering column from Flamin' River. I'm not sponsored by them. This is just the product that I feel is going to do the best job for what we're doing. So the column that came out was, I believe, a 32-inch column. It did have a tilt on it, but it was very close to the driver's seat, even if you slid the seat back. So we wanted to move the steering wheel a little closer to the dash. So what we ordered this column by Flamin' River. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by them. This is just the product that I think is best suited for this application. So here's the part number. This is a keyed column with floor shifter. It's a 30-inch black column. And the part number FLA-FR30002-30BK. So we ordered the kit. It came in. I opened the box up. Beautiful steering column, but then we realized there was no key ignition on it. So somehow the order had, either we messed up or they messed up or whatever. So we sent it back. We ordered another one, and this one came in, and it is, let's see if I can rotate it around here. There it is. It is a keyed ignition. So what's going to come in your box when you get it? Well, of course, the steering column and the keys. Instructions for installing it, which are actually pretty good. So they've got a really good breakdown of the wiring. So if your wiring is just slightly off, you'll know which wire does what feature. There we go. Flamin' River catalog for all their products. The levers, so we have the tilt lever and we have the hazard button to turn the hazard lights on. And last but not least, stickers. So, yeah, I think this is going to work out real good. There they are side by side. The other thing you want to look at when you're ordering one is the diameter of this tube. You want to measure the diameter of the old tube and try to get one the same size, or be able to adjust for the difference in diameter. So, but yeah, looks pretty good. As you can tell, I've already taken the universal joint off, cleaned it up really good. We had some corrosion down inside the splines from when it came off of this spline. So I took it off, cleaned it up. We've got it on this one. It's held in place by a keeper screw right there. Yep. So once we get it in and adjust everything, we'll put the keepers in once we have it in its final location. So right now it's just on there to help locate. Let's get ready to put it in. Well, ain't that the way it always goes? You get ready to do something and you start looking at it, scratching your head, and think that might not be right. Well, a couple of things. Number one, this power steering pump line down here is actually, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's actually cut right in there. So we've got a new power steering line. Before I put the steering column in the way and everything, we're going to go on and replace that. There's a connector here, and then of course one under the radiator but on top of the steering box, which is kind of right there. So we'll get that done. And then the other issue I'm debating is, I don't know if you can see it or not, that tube right there. So that universal joint connects to the end of that tubing, and there's really nothing supporting this tubing except for the universal joint coming out of the steering column, and then where it connects into the steering box. Whoop, there it goes down there, right where roughly where my hand is. So what I'm worried about is movement in here. You can see it's close to the headers, and way down in that jumble of mess, it's right up against the frame. And you know, it's been riding that way for a while. It may not be an issue, but I don't like it because there's too much flex, too much vibration and movement. Something could happen, and I'm sure it's going to cause more stress and wear on those universal joints. So I'm debating on coming right in, sorry about the finger in the screen, right about there, and putting in a mount with a bushing in it that would help support it and make it a little more rigid as far as taking vibration out. So I've got to look at that and see if that's going to be something we need to do. So yeah, let's jump on that power steering hose, get that done, and then we can get back to the steering column. Okay, so I've got the hydraulic line off, or power steering line, excuse me, and engineers just continue to baffle me. One side you've got a 16 millimeter nut, the other side is an 18 millimeter. It just baffles me, but anyway, it's off. As you can see, it's gouged pretty good right there, so that's where it was leaking. I did take a container and put it under each fitting when I broke it loose, just in case there was power steering fluid in it. There was none, so we'll get the line replaced. Now, this is the new line. I've taken the safety caps off both ends to keep dirt from getting in it in preparation of putting it in. I like to lay these next to the existing line or the old line that's coming off, just to make sure they match up to the same lengths. I'm not going to run into any problems. I also like to look at the ends, make sure that that flare fitting is not damaged in any way. With shipping, sometimes these can get damaged, so I like to make sure they're not. I check the threads to make sure they're not damaged, and that's on both ends. So this is good. We're gonna get ready to put it back in. Yep, new hose is in. Everything's tightened. Before we crank it up, we'll fill up the power steering pump with oil or power steering fluid. Double check for leaks, but yeah, she's in. So now, where is it? There it is. Back to the drive shaft. Hello,
as
YouTube.
You can see, we got
Hope
it
you're doing
in.
good today. It's a beautiful day
Steering
here in Middle
column's
Georgia.
in.
This is our new
Got the
project.
cover plate over
it's a
it.
'79 CJ5.
So yeah.
We've got a couple
She's ready
things to
go
do
back
to
her
it.
owner.
The biggest thing is the steering column
Alright, so she's
broke
done
all of the
a couple
plastic
things
pieces
we ran
inside of it,
into.
fell apart and locked the
After
steering
we got
up
the
and
power
locked
steering
the
pump in, we
ignition
had an
switch
issue
up.
with the
So we're going to replace
turn
that.
signals not working.
And we've got a power
Turns
steering
out that
line that's leaking. We're
at
going
some
to
point
replace
the
while we're at
turn
it.
signal relay had
Then we're going to check the
fallen out,
the vehicle
removed,
over
got a new
and
one,
make sure
put it
that
in.
there's no other issues
That took care of that.
to be found.
And then we
So
found a couple
yeah,
issues with
this is
body
it.
mounts that were
Should be
missing,
a
so
good
we fixed
project.
that as well.